Thank you for joining us and welcome to the 21st century of real estate education. We want to introduce our product, which is called Generation, and we're going to be going through some of the screens here shortly. So, the first screen you see here is you get to select the avatar. You decide who you are, and what does a person do on their first day of real estate but knock on the boss's door, ask them for information, and you always want to make sure that you have someone knowledgeable teaching you the ways to be a successful agent. In this case, you have the boss's office, and we'll slide in. This boss will instruct you on how to be successful and the different things you want to do. Now, the key here is you're going to start off in the basement. You've got to work your way up and you've got to be more proficient in what it means to be successful in real estate. And so you're going to start by doing some regular active lead generation, such as open house flyers, newspapers. In this particular case, open house is selected, and soon we're going to be looking at a bench ad. And the bench ad is something that you really see with realtors in real life, and you see this area here which they're going to be canvassing. So for every buyer or seller that you find, you're actually generating what we call a lead. And here's an active lead list. So these are the people, and you can see all the different people, the different walks of life that they generated through this bench ad. And their leads, they're not actual buyers and sellers yet. But in this case, one of them is talking about wanting to sell their home, and you're suggesting, hey, this is how much I think your home will sell for in this market. And so there's some negotiation going back and forth, and you acquire a seller as a client, and that's obviously positive. Through this whole process, you need to be able to talk with your boss, and so the boss will text you information and kind of lead you down the path of what's successful. Now, just like there's success, there's also failure. So in this particular case, the interaction didn't go well, and so the lead was lost. You no longer have the ability to get this lady as a client, which is just like real life, like we talked about. Now, one thing that's also very important is the fact that different personalities that will be taking place in the game. In case we have a drill instructor, he talks like a drill instructor, and you're trying to figure out the best way to communicate with him to help him with his needs. But in this case, you've acquired a new buyer. And these are where these interactions become fun. He gives you the details of what he's looking for in a home, and you're searching through the MLS and you find a house. And you're going to be suggesting to him, this is how much you should offer for this house. And of course, you're going to be dealing with the other realtor on the other side. You're going to have some negotiations where price is going to be the issue on what kind of offer that you wrote and what the seller's willing to take. Now, assuming that you did get this offer together, in this case you did, there may be some inspection issues that come up. In this particular case, you can see that there's $50 worth of repairs because of loose doorknobs. So that gets fixed and you end up selling the home to what would have been your buyer client. And it's interesting that what you will see is real life patterns of what it takes to take someone through the process of buying and selling. So as this game progresses, it gets harder and harder. You're juggling more clients, and you're at different points of the process where you're dealing with a seller. You got to negotiate, inspect, closing. Buyer, you've got to find a home, negotiate, inspect. You've got financing, and then closing, of course, there too. Now, we also have a section, this is considered the heavy content section, and I'll explain that. What heavy content means, there's very specific things that you need to learn, and that's only going to come through effectively through reading. And so we'll have that reading material. We will use gamification game mechanics in this process so that way it makes the learning portion of this, the heavy content, fun and engaging. Now the light content portion is the portion where you get to more control your environment, decide how you negotiate and go forward as an agent. And so important that we get these things across and that it's fun and engaging and still meets the state requirements. Next, we have the important factor of that you're going to be working through becoming a successful agent. What does that really mean? You're going to working your way from the bottom office in the basement and you're going to be working your way to the next mid-level office as you become successful. And then finally in the high rise, which the high rise office, of course, is the one that everyone desires to get to. As you can see, we put together some pretty exciting things on how we're going to change the way real estate education is done. Thank you for taking a look at the Real Estate GameWorks project.